Expo is such a wonderful learning experience. There are hundreds of other real estate investors to network with and to learn from. The education is such a wide variety in any type of real estate investing that you're interested in. You're going to learn it here.
Good afternoon, everyone, from Austin, Texas. I am Steve Sabaji, IRA specialist here in the Quest Austin office. I hope you enjoyed our brief video presentation just a second ago about the upcoming Quest Expo, which has been getting a lot of buzz and we are very proud of, and we're very happy to be resuming. And I'm going to talk about it in just a few more minutes again. But again, just want to point out, we still are in early bird pricing on tickets to Quest Expo. And if you pay attention, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how you can get even a little further discount off of the early bird pricing. So if this is something you've been putting off or something you've been looking into, you still have a very good chance to go ahead and take advantage of that. But before I do that, I want to break into our just brief presentation, and then we will be bringing up what is today a recorded version of Jeff Watson. But even a recorded version of Jeff is still incredibly valuable. So I would certainly suggest, even if this is just a recording, that it's still going to be well worth your while to see what Jeff has to say with some of his new content. But before we begin, again, I'll just give you the overview of Quest and self-directed IRAs. Start by just talking a little bit about who we are. Quest Trust Company is the largest self-directed IRA custodian in the state of Texas. We currently have over 20,000 investors active with us at this time. Now, over 100 employees, many of whom are carrying the designation of Certified IRA Specialist. This is a designation that's granted by the American Banking Association, specific to the area of IRAs, and it shows an advanced learning and qualification in that field. And the thing I think that's important about the CISP with some of our employees is that it's really spread across a pretty wide swath of our company. You might think it's just people on our sales team, but it's people in sales, marketing, even on the operational side. So it goes to show that there are a lot of people highly experienced that are across the organization as a whole. And beyond that, right now, we have under administration in excess of $2 billion in assets. And currently, this number tends to fluctuate, but we are currently seeing clients with somewhere close to around $400 million in cash that they're sitting on. That means we have clients who are looking for deals. So if you are a plan sponsor, please engage with us by way of our networking. And again, if you're one of these folks, also engage with us in our networking. That's how you're going to find deals. And just for clarification purposes, I just want to emphasize all of what we're doing here today, it's purely for educational purposes. At Quest Trust Company, we do not provide tax, legal, or investment advice. And before you enter into any kind of a transaction, make sure you're doing your due diligence first and perhaps consult with your tax, legal, and or investment advisor before any transaction. Now, real quick, again, IRAs, self-directed IRAs are the same as any other IRA that you're going to find anywhere else. Self-directed is a marketing term. It's something that really just specifies that with a self-directed IRA, you're dealing with a private asset. So it's something of your choosing. It's something you have found. It's something you may only really have access to that others may not at a traditional provider like a Fidelity or a Vanguard. But in terms of a self-directed IRA, the features are pretty much the same. There's tax-deferred savings that you get through an IRA, meaning that money could be deductible going in. It could be, it's all deferred while it's in there, and it could even be tax-free coming out. Now, the diversification, I think, is a little amplified with a self-directed IRA because, again, you pick the asset. You can buy something, again, that is not like the ordinary things that people may buy, again, through a more traditional advisor. And so it will give you diversification beyond just what the stock market alone will provide. And as we all know, if we're dealing with something like real estate, real estate is an asset that isn't going to correlate to the stock market. So it can really be your ace in the hole, especially during times like now with the market volatility that we're seeing. And as I said before, you get to invest in the things you know. You're the one researching the asset, doing the due diligence. So chances are you're going to be a little less surprised by the outcome of this investment because of the fact that you've done your homework. And I think there's one other unique feature that a self-directed IRA also offers. I think of it as social investing. Now, we've all heard the term social investing. We know what it is. It's, companies that are responsible in their practices, and you hear about trying to diminish your carbon footprint and things like that, which is important. I will agree. I think that's great. I think, good business like that makes for better companies, makes for better profit. But I think there's an amplification of social investing that you get when you're dealing in real estate. You think about it for a second here. If you're buying a piece of property, you want to buy something that, is maybe a little distressed. Your intention is to renovate it, rent it, flip it, but you're improving a community by doing that. You're making sure that the neighborhood is improving. So that's providing a real tangible benefit to a localized community. Plus, remember, when you are doing a renovation, you're going to be hiring people on a local level. You're going to be sourcing your materials on a local level. You're injecting more money into the economy that way as well. And that's going to be true if you're doing a flip or if you're doing a syndication, if you're lending to somebody who's going to be doing that work as well. So I would argue the social impact that you have through the self-directed IRA is a lot more directly targeted to an area that you know and perhaps even live in. Now, the types of accounts, again, same IRAs as everywhere else. I get often asked the question, I'm looking at your application, I don't see self-directed IRA here. Just remember, take self-directed out of it because IRAs are the same. There's traditional, there's Roth. And again, we know the long-term benefit of the Roth is getting that money back tax-free. If we're taking money out of a 401k plan and everything is pre-tax, we do the traditional / rollover. And again, I'm starting to have a lot of conversations with people right now about Roth conversion. So if your money is in a traditional, let's talk over maybe if a conversion is right for you. Now, the business plans, we've got the SEP, the simple, the solo 401k. These are kind of like amplified business-oriented retirement accounts for people who are self-employed or maybe run small businesses. The benefit here is that it is something done by your business. And so the benefit goes to the business as well, where contributions can be a tax-deductible expense. And then finally, the specialty plans, which consist of the health savings account and the education savings accounts. And the benefit of these plans here, money that comes out for qualified expenses under either are tax-free. So again, a lot of positive benefits to these plans. If you'd like to know more, let's talk. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the networking now. We are continuing now, and we're back live with a lot of events as well. Starting with our self-directed IRA social. That is each office every month. First Tuesday is Houston, second Tuesday is Austin, third Tuesday is Dallas. Live, 6:30 to 8:30. There's going to be food, there's going to be drink, there's going to be networking, and there's going to be education. That's a chance for clients and non-clients alike to get together, learn, get to meet each other, and find out what's happening in their communities and what investment opportunities are out there. I have to tell you personally, I've been meeting a lot of interesting people of late with a lot of interesting investment options, which are a little out of the ordinary from some things I've seen of late. So please, there's always good things to be found. We all are also continuing our regular classes and webinars. So we have our weekly classes on Tuesdays. We have the virtual happy hour, which we were doing during COVID, which still is in place. Of course, the Saturday program here. And don't forget, if you miss any of these sessions, you can find them on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page. We have everything archived. You might even want to go back and just scroll through some of the titles. You may have seen, not even been aware of something. And of course, all the socials are also archived on those resources. All right, a little bit more about Quest Expo. Again, we showed you the video just a few minutes ago, and I promised you that there'd be a benefit to it. If you look toward the top of the screen, please use my discount code, Sabaji30. If you have questions on how to spell that or you forget it, call the office, ask for Steve. That's me. I'm the only Steve that works at Quest. First time in my career that's ever happened. But use my discount code. And again, you still can get a benefit of a discount on the early bird pricing. The early bird pricing ends at the end of the month, by the way, too. So this is the time to do it if you are going to look into buying that ticket. So take advantage of it. All right. Last, in terms of getting in touch with any of us, if you're looking to learn more or about some of the options or about self-directed IRAs as a whole, please utilize the QR code that you see there. You can use that to set up a consultation with an IRA specialist. You can always just jump on the chat on the website, give us a call, or just shoot us an email, iraspecialists@questtrust.com. And again, somebody will reach out and we can help you with any questions that you may have. All right, so that is the end of my presentation. So my good friend Victor is going to bring up Jeff's presentation. And again, just remember, this is a recording of Jeff, but I've previewed it a little bit, and Jeff is Jeff. He's Jeff, whether he's live or whether he's on a video. So he's entertaining, he's engaging, he's amusing, but he's also full of a lot of great information. So we're going to make that switch over, and I will talk to you at the very end.
All right. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time of day that you listen to this, either when it's the live version or when it's one of the many listened to and downloaded recordings. Congratulations for taking another step forward in your education through and because of the amazing people at Quest Trust. I almost wanted to call it Quest Trust University, but I don't think such a name has been thrown out there yet. But I think talk to Quincy about it because of the amount of amazing content from so many smart, knowledgeable professionals that get involved with Quest Trust. So my name is Jeff Watson, and I'm going to be talking to you today a little bit about a sour note in your IRA. And this is based upon two basic principles. Number one, stuff that's happened to me with some of my own self-directed deals, and then something that's happened time and time again with multiple clients involving their self-directed IRA accounts. And so let's get started with the fundamentals, because I have to do this. I am required by ethical guidelines under the state of Ohio, in which I am licensed to practice, and I'm only licensed to practice in the state of Ohio, to tell you that this presentation is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information with regard to the subject matter covered. This is education. This is not legal advice. It is provided with the understanding that the presenter is not engaged in rendering legal, accounting, or other professional advice. If legal or other professional assistance is required, the services of a competent professional must be acquired. And a competent professional in this case would be someone who understands both the nuances of self-directed retirement account investing and the nuances regarding notes that have not performed as you, the lender, would have wanted them to perform. They're either slow pay, no pay, default, etc., and so on. So let's talk a little bit more about some of these things. Oh, I forgot. This presentation is the intellectual property of the Jeffrey S. Watson Law Firm, Nerd in Charge LLC, and Quest Trust Company. You may not use any of the images, graphics, animations, or this recording without the express written consent of Jeffrey S. Watson Law Firm, Nerd in Charge LLC, and Quest Trust. This information being shared for educational purposes for this event only, and all other rights are reserved by those entities. Yes, I know. We've got to do all that lawyerly sounding stuff. Well, that's because I am a lawyer. I'm now in my 31st year. Actually, my 31st year is ticked over earlier this month. 31 years practicing law in the state of Ohio. I'm just shaking my head. I'm just so blessed, so honored, so thrilled. And so I have had the opportunity to serve as general counsel to some pretty significant entities in the real estate space. One of the largest real estate investor CRMs, RealFlow, co-founded the company with my good friend Greg Clement. We did all the way back in 2007. That company has made the Inc. 500 list 1 year as a fast-growing privately held entity. I'm also serving as general counsel to the National Association of Real Estate Investors Association. That is a tremendous honor. And I work with a couple of other companies such as National Wealth Builders out of Dayton, Ohio, and Note School out of Dallas, Texas, actually South Lakes, Texas. I myself have been a real estate investor for over 27 years. Bought my first property closed on it January of 1994 after several attempts to buy earlier properties, and I still own some of those same doors to this day. And I'm a full-time practicing attorney actively representing self-directed IRA clients. And so my client base is a very unique client base. I have clients in many, many, many different states that are all asking me questions that are governed off of the rules governing self-directed retirement accounts, under the IRS code and so on. So that's a little bit about who I am. Some of my accomplishments. First of all, I'm incredibly proud to tell you that I'm a board member of Quest Trust Company. That is a privilege and an honor that I take seriously. I have been able to influence national housing policy on 3 different occasions. That is something that self and say, really, how'd that all happen? But I know how it happened. The fight that it took for years to get some of these changes made regarding the deed restrictions on foreclosure and short sale language, regarding some tax policy on mortgage debt forgiveness. And now we've moved it one more area, and I can't even remember what it is. Sorry, it's escaped my brain, because right now I've spent a lot of time. Earlier this week, I spent some time working with my friend, Congressman Henry Cuellar, out of Texas, regarding HR 5013, which is sponsored by his good friend, Congressman Vicente Gonzalez, and co-sponsored by Andy Barr and some other people that just understand, and it doesn't matter whether they're D's or they're R's, because they're both of them. They understand how important investors are to the economy. And so we're working that legislation through. I got started way back in 2008 when I revolutionized transactional documentation for short sales. That's what took me from being just an average practitioner in Northeast Ohio to somebody that got rather popular. I've also, through my career as a lawyer and litigator, changed the law 5 times in the state of Ohio, 4 times through litigation, cases up to the Ohio Court of Claims, cases up to the Ohio Supreme Court, cases to various courts of appeals, and also I've done 1 time through legislation, changed the law in the state of Ohio relative to landlords. And then I have some REI clients other than RealFlow that have also made the Inc. 500 list of privately held fast-growing companies. So I've seen a lot. And in 31 years, I've been blessed to do a lot. And if it's okay with you, I want to share with you a distillation of some of the collective wisdom that I have gained from this amazing network of individuals that I'm privileged to call friends and acquaintances, so many of which are surrounding connections with Quest Trust Company. And I want to bring it to a very, very specific point today, and that is when you've got a note, when you've made a loan in your self-directed retirement account that's not performing the way you thought it was going to. It could be any one of a number of things. It could be that your borrower is just slow paying and they're not communicating well. And so there's a little bit of sour to that note. It's no longer a sweet peach. It's now a little bit of a tart lemon. Okay, I got you. Or it could be so severe as some of the stuff it's in my inbox right now, of where the borrower has left the country with the money and not made a single payment. And so we've got all sorts of things that are happening out there. So it happens to all of us at one time or another. We make a loan, we originate a note, and we extend funds out of our self-directed retirement account to a borrower, and it doesn't go right. So the first thing that we have to do, the very first thing that we have to do, is we have to understand that we cannot ignore the problem. I have seen people that just ignored it. They're embarrassed, they're impressed, they're sad, and they would just want to ignore it. But you can't do it, because you cannot ignore it and you cannot panic. I've also seen people who thought their world was ending, and that's not the case. Now, let's be honest. We've all made loans. And even, I'm not going to embarrass him too much, but my Quincy Long, dear friend of mine, I can't believe I get to even sit on a Quest webinar, Zoom call, and tell you that Quincy is a friend of mine. I mean, I have such massive respect for that guy. I look up to him in so many ways. And I remember one day he was teaching and he taught a concept that just revolutionized the way I thought about inherited Roth IRAs. And I literally just zoned out for the next 30 minutes because I was just pondering the brilliance that Quincy just shared in one quick quip of a sentence. He just threw it out as a real quick little quip. And I was like, wow. So anyhow, we've all made bad loans. I know Quincy's even made a couple of loans that he wishes he wouldn't have made. But we've gotten something out of those loans now. We've got something called experience. And I want to share with you the experience that I've learned, not just from my own trials and tribulations as a lender, but from clients and from friends and from colleagues. And the first thing I have to tell you is you're not alone. Don't ignore it and don't panic. You see, if you feel like you're alone, then you're either going to panic or you're going to ignore it and you're going to just make a further mess of it. But when you realize that it's happened to all of us, that it will probably happen to all of us, then you're like, okay, so now what do I do? If we have not yet made a bad deal, you've not done enough deals. Okay? If you've not yet made a deal that didn't go perfectly, you've not done enough deals. So we just have to understand that we cannot be an ostrich. We can't stick our head in the sands. We can't just pretend like everything is hunky-dory. We can't just pretend that that it'll all work out, because guess what? It's going to take some effort. The self-directed part of self-direction is going to kick in, and you're going to have to make some decisions. You're going to have to start directing. And so you've got to understand that avoiding the problem will not work. Okay? Avoiding the problem will not work. Ignoring the problem is not going to work. Panicking is not going to work. Okay? So there are some things that we'll cover, that we'll get into here. And I want to just make sure that we understand this. Do not wait until the note matures to do something about it. Do not go back and say, well, I haven't heard from the borrower in 60 days, but the note doesn't mature for another year, so I'm just going to let it go. No. See, this is one of the important things that I want to make sure that this is a takeaway that I'm going to prevent. This is a preventative clause. I want to share this right now, this preventative clause. Always, always, always write your notes to where there is an ongoing, consistent payment requirement back to you. Not just because this will enhance your rate of return. Not just because this will put more money back in your account sooner that you can reinvest. But this makes sure that your borrower is always aware of the fact that they owe you money every month. If it's an interest-only payment and they have to make it every month, that's fantastic. If it's every quarter, and I would never go beyond more than a quarter, that's fine. But we want to make sure that they have to pay every month. Okay? Now, I'm not going to get into some of the nuances of note language where we could kind of jazz up the rate of return by even collecting some prepaid interest and things like that. No, let's not worry about that today. Let's just talk about, here's one of the things I want you to do. Don't ignore it. Don't panic. Don't be an ostrich. Don't wait for it to mature. But going forward, everything that you do now, monthly interest only payments at a minimum, monthly interest only payments at a minimum. Do not wait until Quest starts reaching out to you and asking you what you're going to do with this note. Be proactive. Be proactive. Now, when you are proactive, you have to be smart about it. So let's get into this just a little bit more. In order to be proactive and be smart about it, you need to understand what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can move this little thumbnail out of the way so I can see my notes on the screen a little bit better. Yes. So you need to get all of the information and you need to know the numbers. See, this is where until you get information, until you get accurate, complete information, you're incapable of making the right decision because you don't know enough. And you're going to say, well, Jeff, what are you talking about? Please explain this to me. So let me explain it to you in just a little more detail. So just give me a second here. One of the things that you have to understand is what's going on with your borrower. If your borrower is not communicating to you, then what have you done to find out what's going on with your borrower? Have you done drive-by by the properties? Have you looked at the collateral? Have you gone by where your borrower lives? Have you started checking among the references that your borrower gave you on the loan application? You did get a loan application, didn't you? You did get their complete contact information. You did get their date of birth, their social security number. You did find out where they live and where they work. You did find out what other things that they're involved in. You did get some family members and some references, right? Well, if you didn't, now you're going to know that the next time you must do that. And I'm going to tell you right now, I expect my borrowers to put their best foot forward when they're trying to get money from me. When they've got their hand out reaching for money, I expect to get the biggest smile. I expect them to be the happiest. I expect them to be the most friendly, most responsive, quick to answer emails and text messages. But I also know that 29 seconds after that loan funds, they're going to forget my name and number until it's time to make me a payment. Okay? So I want to get all the information I can get. Now, you may have to go do some Peter Colombo, Hawaii 5-0. You may have to do some MacGyver research and digging around to find out what you can about your borrower. And now I pray that you do have the right name for your borrower. I pray that you did verify that their company is still in existence, because I've seen instances where they used a fake name with fake IDs with a company that had been shut down for years. I've seen all this. I pray that didn't happen to you. But you need to get the information. You need to dig out. You need to go find out where they are. You need to be Googling them. You need to be stalking them on social media. You need to find someone who can run some sort of searches for them and so on. Get into their business. Find out what is happening. Okay? Find out what is happening. Understand what's going on. And get that as much information as you can, because you're going to need it to begin to contact them. And then you need to know the numbers. You need to know what's going on. What is the value of the collateral if there is any collateral? What is the current amount owed? Have you updated your amortization schedule based upon how the note was written, for how the interest is computed when it goes into default or when it's a slow pay? How are you handling what is happening to the unpaid interest? How are you handling what's going on with late fees? How are you doing all of this stuff? Because your language in your note controls all this. And hopefully you got a good note, and hopefully you controlled it to where those things are happening, because I have seen some borrowers try to control the process where they write the note that they're willing to sign, and there is no default interest rate, there is no late fee, there are no extra costs to them not paying you, and it really is all stacked in their favor. And I hope that that's not happening to you, but if it is the case, you need to know that. You need to understand what's happening. But you need to get all this information. Because once you get this information, once you know everything you can know about your borrower, where they are, what's going on, maybe they're not talking to you. Maybe they get all hot and bothered and offended over stuff because now they get indignant, but whatever. They are not honoring their word. I don't let them get a temper tantrum, puff their chest, and act all intimidating and so on. No, you owe me money. Proverbs 22:7 says the borrower is servant to the lender. I'm the lender. That means you owe me the responsibility of information and payments. Where is it? I can be firm. I can be very, very firm here, okay? But I need to know my numbers. I need to get some help here calculating what's owed. I need to understand where you are in your business, in your life, where you are in this deal, what's going on, what are you doing to fix the situation, Mr. Borrower? And if the answer is going silent on me or flipping me the bird, well, that tells me everything I need to know. And it's now my turn to try and ruin your life, legally speaking. Okay. So we got to get all the information and get that, because here's why that is so important. Once we can get that information, and I don't want you to obsess about, the color of the car that they're driving and so on, but let's find out everything we can about them and their businesses and so on and other assets that they have. Let's do some digging, okay? Let's get to work on that. Because once we do that, then we're capable of using relational capital to solve the problem. Relational capital to solve the problem. Sometimes using relational capital might be as simple as calling up an attorney, sending them over the note, the security instrument, the deed of trust, the mortgage, and saying, I need you to start the collection process. I need you to begin the foreclosure process. Sometimes it's that simple, but many times it's not. Most of the times it's not. I run into individuals that have, for whatever reason, they don't have that much more money left in the account. They can't pay for what it's going to cost to do the foreclosure, and they're not able to make more contributions to the account at that time. So there's other things that they can do. Maybe they can bring on board another knowledgeable investor who, in exchange for joint venturing on the deal, joint venturing on how to buy the note or getting an option to buy the note. Yes, I know it's a defaulted note. Yes, I know it's a non-performing note. Yes, I know it has all sorts of problems on it, but you might be able to find someone who's willing to come along and for a mere $1,000 personally option the note, so that then they can go after the person in with their own company. And so then we've gotten out of to where we get the note sold to somebody else at a discount, and we've got the right to share the collection process and so on. Those are some of the tactics that are there. We can use relational capital to solve the problem by bringing in somebody else. Maybe we joint venture. Maybe we sell option the note. Maybe we sell the note. Maybe we do something else to just get some extra knowledge base and some extra resources of individuals that have been there before and done this and fixed the problem, and we can then go after it. We can then start to solve the problem in a different way. It's not always solved just with the lawsuit and foreclosure and things like that. Sometimes it's solved with what a former client of mine used to call the big bad wolf theory, or the boogeyman theory. You would notify the reluctant borrower payor. Well, you've not been a person of your word. You've not made payments timely. I'm going to go ahead and sell this note to an aggressive collection firm. And they're going to use all the power that they've got with their relationship and capital and resources and law firms. And they're going to just go ahead and do everything they can to collect on this note. And I have seen that tactic work in the past, to where the borrower gets scared and literally just did a deed in lieu of foreclosure. I watched a borrower do that one time. It was the boogeyman theory, is what we sometimes refer to it as. When the uncertainty of what's coming at them from someone with deeper pockets and more knowledge causes them to realize that they can no longer take advantage of maybe the single mom that made a loan that they duped into doing the deal. And I've watched it fix. And, sometimes that works, and sometimes the boogeyman bluff gets called, and then you got to go to work. That's fine, whatever. But you can do that stuff. So you can use relational capital to solve the problem. But here's something else that you can do. You could always try to rebuild the relationship, to restructure and modify the note. Restructuring and modifying the note can really go a long way if you can restore the communication with somebody. And you can then modify it, get some extra collateral, bring the payments current in some way or another, just whatever you can work out. I mean, I've done this right now. I had a commercial borrower with COVID have a problem because his commercial tenant on a triple net lease told him during the pandemic that we can't make the rent payments because no one's ordering materials through our little warehouse that we have in your building. And so we've had to go back and redo the note a little bit, work on it and so on. But I'm using Relational Capital. I'm using a good legal advisor. We're having multiple conversations and we're moving forward with this. And because I wrote the note well, because I had decent collateral, because of the way we structured the deal, we can solve the problem. Now, yeah, it's not perfect, but it's going to get fine. It's going to get better. In fact, because of the way I wrote the note, and because of how many months he went without paying, and the interest rest piled up on top of the outstanding principal balance, even though he's now back paying, he actually owes me more now than when we originated the note. And that's just the way it was written. That's just the way it is. That's just how these commercial real estate deals work. So, sometimes it works out really good. Sometimes it works out okay for some people, sometimes. But the whole idea is you need to rethink how to solve the problem. And your relational capital is one of the most important things that you can bring, because it's not dollars and cents. It's brain power. It's who knows who and who knows how to do something. And this is one of the reasons why, if you've not yet got your tickets to attend the upcoming Quest Expo in September of 2022, you need to take advantage of what Quest is offering as part of this, either this recording or on anything else that you're getting from Quest. You need to get those tickets locked in right now. I can tell you that the caliber of people who are already telling me that they're going to be at Quest Expo September 2022 in Houston, Texas, is going to make this the biggest, the best Quest Expo yet. And that room is going to be stacked with relational capital. And this is your opportunity, with all of that relational capital in that one spot, for you to go build those relationships, for you to start to get to meet people, for you to collect business cards, for you to have conversations, for you to get to renew friendships, grow new ones, and so on, because it's going to be the relational capital that's going to help solve the problem. Because folks, it's not how much your net worth is, it's what is your network. And then when it comes to your network, it's not who do you know, it's who knows you. Who knows you? That is the key to relational capitals. Who knows you? What value can you bring to the situation? Can you bring a good opportunity to an investor who's looking for a good opportunity? Can you bring an opportunity to solve a problem and help somebody make a little bit of money while helping solve your problem? That is how you use relational capital to solve a problem with a sour note. Now, there's a lot more I could probably go into and talk about illustration after illustration on some of these things, but I don't want to belabor it too much, but I do want to share a couple of stories with you of things not to do. I want to share a couple of don't do these now, okay? Because I've given you things to do, but let me give you some things not to do. One of those things is, do not fudge the paperwork. Do not try and create a unilateral modification or amendment to the note. You can't do it. It's legally not permitted. You see, when you modify a note, you are literally having to create two mirror images. What the borrower is willing to agree to and what the lender is willing to agree to on the modification, and they have to match up. But if you're trying to do this all by yourself, well, you're missing the other half. You can't get a meeting of the minds. You can't get a deal to come together. I've seen people try to do it. Don't do it. You need to have the borrower's signature in order to prove that there was a meeting of the minds in order to modify a note. So don't try and, jury rig their signature on something, because now you're committing fraud. Okay? Don't do that. The next thing is don't go dark on Quest. Don't go dark on Quest. Instead, come back and say, hey, listen, I've got a problem with this note. I may need to get an opinion of value to show what it's really worth now, because it's not worth what it's not performing. So I may need to get an opinion of value. And folks, if this is an opportunity right here, where just think about this, and I've seen people do this really successfully. They made a loan out of their traditional IRA. They didn't plan for it to happen, but it happened. The note started to non-perform. There wasn't that good a collateral. They were like, wow, I think I can work this thing out, but I'm not sure. What can I do to make some lemons, take these lemons and turn it into lemonade? I mean, this is sour. What can I do to sugar this up and make some lemonade out of this? And they go, well, wait a second. What if I converted this note at its current value? I'd have to get a new opinion of value. I have to get an expert to tell me. What if I converted it from a traditional to a Roth at that number? And then maybe I could then use some relational capital and get this problem fixed, and maybe we could correct the problem. And folks, I don't know if you've ever seen that done before or not, but I sure have. I've seen people figure that out. I mean, I remember working with one guy that he's like, Jeff, I want you to review the foreclosure filings. I want you to look at the pay history. I want you to look at the collateral. I want you to look at the current opinion of the collateral. I want you to understand that we're not in a first lien position, but I want you to tell me what you think this note held by my traditional account is worth right now. And so we would do it. And then they did the conversion. And then they, excuse me, waited and worked the deal, And then the market shifted and the value of the collateral went up. So when it went to foreclosure, everything turned out just fine. And so I've seen these things happen. So these are opportunities where you can use relational capital to help make lemonade out of a lemon, because you can go find somebody who can give an opinion of value and do the conversion from a traditional to a Roth. That's a powerful, powerful technique. Now, there's another thing I want you to understand here, and that is, and I've helped some clients do this. You could look at it and say, Jeff, I have no money in my IRA. I won't be able to make enough contributions to cover the $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 of legal costs that this litigation over this defaulted large note may cost me. So what can I do? Well, let's figure out what the real value of the note is right now. Is your borrower communicating? No, your borrower's disappeared. The note's unsecured. It's in your traditional account. Well, why don't we just get a current opinion of value, and you take it as a distribution in kind? Yes, there will be some tax consequences on it, but not that much, if depending on how it's valued by an independent third-party person. Take the distribution in kind to your personal name, and now you personally can use your personal money to hire an attorney to go collect on it, to pay for the litigation, to pay for this, to do that. I've helped individuals do that as well. That's a strategy where you're going to be like, okay, I'm not going to throw good retirement dollars after bad retirement dollars, but I don't want to let this borrower get away with it. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to find out what it's really worth. Yes, and get an opinion, take it as a distribution in kind. And then now the note's in my own name personally. I can personally pay the lawyer to go after him. And that's another tactic and strategy I've seen used when a note goes sour. So there's lots of things that you can do when a note goes sour, but you have to start at the beginning with don't panic, don't ignore it, understand everything going on, get as much information as you can, get the facts, the real facts going on, okay? I don't need a ton of drama, okay? I don't need a ton of drama about all the broken promises. I want to know, what are the facts? They signed the note, they never made a payment. Okay. Tell me about the collateral. Oh, there is no collateral. Okay. Things like that. Let's get into figuring this thing out, and then we can go forward, because the relational capital, when you present the facts to the people with the relational capital, that's how they can then help you solve the problem and structure the solution. So folks, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up with one more really strong reminder that the upcoming Quest Expo, Houston, Texas, in September of 2022 is a must-attend event. It is a must attend event. Now, you're going to say, well, Jeff, you know, it happens to be after September of 2022, and I didn't make it to Quest Expo 2022. Well, you missed that one, but I'm sure there's another one coming, so make sure you get to that one, because this is where you're going to go add to your Relational Capital Rolodex, if that is still such a thing, if people still use them, or it's going to add to your Relational Capital, you know, contact list in your smart devices and so on. And, you know, you're going to be able to just start accumulating. And folks, if you're there in September 22 at Quest Trust, come by, say hi. Tell me that this recording was helpful to you. Come by, say hi. And, you know, if it was bad, well, then, you know, throw a rotten apple or a lemon at me while I'm up on stage speaking. Okay. So with that being said, you know, I'm joking. Don't ruin Quincy's party. Don't ruin Quincy. Quincy's going to throw a huge party. Don't ruin it. It's going to be so much fun. There's going to be more knowledge in that room, more stuff shared. Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. All right. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their schedule and attending this conversation about when a note goes sour in your self-directed retirement account and 3 steps to follow it. And I hope you listen to it. I hope you're able to benefit from it. And I hope that you'll understand that the best way to do is to take this information and use it for your next future loan, to where you get a good application completed by your prospective borrower. You draft the note yourself or with a good attorney that understands it. You make sure you get good collateral. You make sure that you get monthly interest only payments at least at a minimum, if not principal and interest payments, and you attack the problem before it starts. So until the next time, we'll talk again. Peace. Jeff Watson out.
Sorry about that. That was pretty typical Jeff. Great information. I really like that part that he talked about with the Roth conversion of the bad asset. That is something I've heard about before. And, you know, again, just think of the upside that you could potentially achieve with a move like that. So, you know, again, good information from Jeff. Really want to also just thank Jeff for, you know, giving more information about Quest Expo. You know, the Expo, one of the things, again, I think that's really critical about the Expo that I don't think he did mention was the vendors that are also going to be there. That I think goes a lot to what he was talking about with the intellectual capital that you end up getting. And one of the most important things, you know, part of what I've always been told and what people have relayed to me about the Expo is that they come away with more of what they call their team, meaning they have found the people, you know, from a legal, tax, you know, just a logistical standpoint of the people who are going to help them the most when it comes to maintaining property or maintaining things with the IRA. So, you know, again, just can't emphasize enough. I hope you will contact us and look into this more. But for now, that's all we have for you today. I hope you found this interesting. I hope you found this helpful, and we will see you next time. Thank you very much.